getting a massage and I listen to New Age music, I say, turn that off. I can't relax at all because I'm too much of a musician and I listen too much. So for me, it's not relaxing. It's a separate world. It's a separate world. I think of the bugla as a live performance instrument. So I don't use it in the same way that I do my studio recordings, where I'm, layering sound and doing many layers and then mixing. This is a special case of performing in the moment, live, no samples, generating the music, and interacting with the instrument. This was the direction we were going, and then it got sidetracked. We lost the vision the first time around. They put a keyboard with the instrument, and then it became popularized as something that made a sound, but it wasn't about interacting with it in new ways. So now the kids are rediscovering analog modular synths. And there's a lot of new possibility for these designs to manifest the performance vision. So it's a combination of working with the instruments, but also making the instrument. So you have to have the instrument. Is it about time? You know what, I think that is a misconception. It's really not about time. It's about stopping time, for sure. When you want to be creative, you have to go into a bubble. You have to leave the normal nuts and bolts world, the world of practicality and requirements and chores and all that. You have to go into a different space. It's more about the mental space than the time. How do you get into that mental space? And there are ways to do it. I do it sometimes by traveling. I wrote an album in Venice. I went to Venice. My phone didn't ring, and I didn't know anybody, and I could go into that bubble. It does take time, but the more important thing is the space. If you have 3 hours in a day, if you can switch gears and go from, taking out the garbage and cooking dinner to, I'm not that good at that. I have to go all or nothing. When I learned doing my first album that, I had a mantra that said there's nothing to do and everything will get done. The idea being that you're not thinking in the normal sense of like, I have to get something. It will actually do itself if you're in the space. You can give up that control and trust yourself, and it will happen. You have to be able to let go of that practical side and just say that this is perfect. The time is perfect. I think of music as kind of like an environment, and I'm happy wherever it is. I mean, I used to want to make music for restaurants. I hate most restaurant music. You go into the restaurant and you're eating and it's, banging away. It's for the waiter. It's not for you. People get married to my music. Not the electronic music. I mean, we're talking about two different kinds of music, because my live bukla is not new age. I don't know what people feel now with ambient or new age music, but for me, I think music is a very personal thing. When I created music, I did want to create that kind of space, that feeling of being relaxed. Once it's like a child, and the child is born, and you let it go. I don't let it go. I don't put it up for adoption by any means, but I don't have any control over, and I don't really have a recipe for how people should listen. It was all for a reason. You have a goal. The goal was to make music. The goal was to make my recordings. And I learned that the best way to support that goal was to make money in music, so that I would have the money to do my albums. I didn't want the pressure of having my albums have to make money. So I wasn't making pop music. I was making very personal music and making my money also as an artist, but in a different field. The business is very important. It used to be that an artist wasn't supposed to be savvy, wasn't supposed to be smart about business. That's ridiculous. It's like it wasn't cool. You're supposed to have a manager who handled all that for you, and that's all just debilitating. It weakens the artist. So the artist has to be responsible. But do I control the way people hear my music? No, I can't. Whoops. I don't deal in words very much. I have a language, but the language is not verbal. I think words, once you have words, the music suffers because your focus is on the words. When, I've written a few songs with lyrics, and the music becomes very simple because the lyrics are there. You can't have everything going on, and so the simplified music doesn't interest me as much as focusing just on the textures and counterpoint of the music. I think, you know, when I started to record, and Seven Waves was the first album, I was coming out of a period of almost 10 years of Buchla. We didn't record in those days. I didn't have a recording machine. I was running around playing live. And so there are very few recordings from that period, just the one that Finders Keepers released, Buchla in 1975. So when I started to record, by that time I decided not to do pure electronic. I mean, the recording was pure electronic, but the sensibility was a combination of my classical roots and my electronic background. So it was highly melodic, and they were called waves, so they had the compositional shape of a wave. But yeah, that was my vocabulary, my language.